Have you ever thought, how do I connect with other people and get them to not only relate with me, but me really relate with them? You know, this whole connection thing. This is actually really important. It's really important, and I'm going to focus really on two areas. I could take this further, but I'm going to talk about leadership, and I'm going to talk about sales. Because if you're watching this, you're either here because you have found this topic through a search, or you've worked with me, or you know me, and you know that these are two things that I spend a lot of time coaching and teaching people about. So let me approach these two topics by addressing the issue of connection. How do we connect? By what I'm going to refer to as matching and mirroring. So this is really about how we pace ourselves when we're working with other people. Before I give you the how-to though, let me just say thank you for coming, watching. Glad you're here. I hope you get some ideas that you'll be able to apply immediately. Also, if you like what you're seeing, push that button, subscribe, because there's going to be a whole lot more coming. We've just started this new series, and to that end, I'd love your feedback. If you like what you're seeing and you have some ideas, what you'd like me to cover, to go deeper on, just shoot us the information, and then we will look at that and maybe take one of your topics as a theme for a future session. Okay, so let me give you an example of how you can apply this when you are building trust and when you are trying to connect with people. My past life, as I like to call it, before I started coaching and teaching, evolved around being a recruiter. So some people refer to that as a headhunter or a search consultant. There's all kinds of terms, basically a recruiter. So what I would do, and you can just visualize, you've all been in interviews, and in that case, I was on the side of the table where I was doing the interviewing. So I would be talking to you as an example if you're sitting at the chair across from me, and just visualize I'm sitting there and I'm asking you questions about your career and your life because I want to learn a little bit about you. I've got your resume, but I really want to get to know you. So I'd go through and I'd ask the typical questions, and I would be fairly square or angular because obviously I've got some paper or I'm typing and I'm taking in the information. So it's very much this static, and there's some tension when we communicate this way. And I had to do that for a period of the interview, obviously just to capture information. But what I would do, and this worked so well, that I not only still use this, but I teach to other people, because this is a way to build credibility by shifting not only your weight, but by really opening space for people to open up and trust and communicate with you. So what I would do is this. After I asked the information that I needed to have to be able to assess the person's potential for this job, I would say, this is great. Thank you for telling me about your background, your education, your experience. Now, and this is where I would move my chair. I would lean back slightly. I would take my hands off the paper, and you can do this, whether you're interviewing someone or you're coaching someone or you're in a meeting with a client. And what I would do in this case, shift the body language, and then I would ask the person who I'd been interviewing, if I had 4 or 5 of your closest friends in the room next door, and I went over and I asked them, what would they describe as your strengths or what makes you unique? Here's what inevitably happened. The person would then mirror what I just did. They'd move. They would often shift in their chair. They'd lean back. They'd look up, and they'd pause for a moment, because what they were doing was seeing their friends' faces in their mind. And they would say, oh, what they would say about me is. And that's when I really listened carefully, because I knew this person was sharing with me now what made them tick, what people would say about them based on their character, their values, what kind of a friend they were, what type of a brother, sister, mother, whatever context they painted. And it was important for me because I got to know the person. If you're a leader, as you need to connect with people, one of the things that'll help you do that more effectively is how you mirror and match and pacing. And this isn't about controlling and moving, because there's some weird stuff out there around this topic, right? So I'm not talking about going there. I'm talking about using it to create dialogue, to open up, and to get people to engage. Now, let me just shift for a second from that to talk about sales or business development. You can use this in a meeting or a presentation or interview with a customer in a similar fashion. Because what a good salesperson will do is he or she will ask a lot of questions to identify the customer's requirements. What do they need? What do they want? Budgets, schedules, what resources, the structure of the organization, who's making decisions, and all that stuff. But then you need to lighten up. And when you have enough information and you have some connection, there's some trust, you can do the same thing I did a moment ago as an example in an interview. You can say to that client, if money and schedule and all these other things we've just discussed can be addressed, Share with me what you would see as the ideal outcome if none of these barriers were in place. If you had to, if you could speak to your desires, your dreams, and then shift your body and watch what happens. This works 99.9% of the time because you have created a space where not only the person trusts you, but they now want to communicate, they want to share, but you've got to lead, right? There's that word again. It's you leading. You set the tone, you set the pace, but mirroring, matching in a way to build trust in a comfortable, safe setting is established by you. Go try this and let us know how it went. Look forward to hearing from you. See you next time.